Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we have updates on Jadon Sancho's future. We also have an update on the race for Dean Huijsen. Chelsea could also choose between Europa League and Champions League football next season. And of course, we have some huge news regarding Victor Osimhen. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10K by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, TBR Football have reported that Nico Williams' representatives have insisted the winger is ready to head to the Premier League. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City and Newcastle have all held exploratory talks. Now this is very interesting, because it feels like Nico Williams' agent is doing overtime. They really want to move away from Bilbao. He obviously feels like he's at a ceiling, or he wants a different challenge. He wants to leave the league, or even potentially not leave the league, but just move to another club, right? Nico Williams is reported to want £400,000 a week by his agent to these clubs, especially if he comes to the Premier League. And I'm going to be honest, no one's going to pay that. No one has the wage power to spend that on a player other than the likes of sort of PSG, Man City, potentially a Madrid. I wouldn't even say Barcelona, because financially they're a bit restricted. They have to like offload players to register new ones when they sign them. It's a bit of a mess. And people seem to forget that the PSR for the FA and the Premier League, there is the equivalent in every other league or something along those same lines. 400,000 a week is absolutely ludicrous. So I feel like with all these clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Newcastle having exploratory talks, it's pretty standard. It's, look, Nico Williams is a fantastic player. We would love to sign him. What is that going to take to bring him to our club? As soon as the agent says 400 grand a week, I can guarantee you all of them just say, nah, I'm sorry, it's too much money. Potentially Arsenal could pay the money. I don't know. I don't know too much about their financials. I know they're a very wealthy club. I know they've started in the last recent seasons spending more money on the transfers, more money on the wages. You know, people forget that they went like 10 years paying off a stadium when they moved. And, you know, they're now paying dividends in terms of the transfer market. They bought Declan Rice for 100 million. He's probably on big money. They've had other transfers. Kai Havertz was around 60 million. He's probably on big money. It's probably a handful of players on big money within the Arsenal camp. So maybe they can afford it. City, yes, maybe that is a potential option for them. In terms of where I think Nico Williams suits in terms of a player, I think he would be really good at Arsenal, good at Chelsea, good at Liverpool, good at City, good at Newcastle. He'd be good at all of those clubs. I think wherever Nico Williams is going to go, he will be a fantastic player. Now, there seems to be like a split on who rates Nico Williams and who doesn't, and that's perfectly fine. Football is subjective. Me personally, I don't think he's had a fantastic season this season, you know, specifically when you isolate it, but as a player, he has a fantastic skill set. Fantastic skill set. He's very direct. He's rapid. You can still see that, you know, he's learned some of his craft, but there's still room to learn even more. And I feel like he is a player that should be playing in the Premier League. The Premier League's a fantastic league, and we like pulling these big stars in with the big names. And Nico Williams has been making noise for a few seasons now. Obviously the same with his brother. Bilbao have this fantastic policy where they buy twins and they come through the ranks. So, you know, obviously you got the Williams as a striker. Is it Inaki Williams? And then you've got Nico Williams as brothers. They've got a history of doing that, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But I feel like Nico Williams is just looking for another option. His agent is trying to do everything he can to secure him the biggest move away, which is, you know, essentially his job. But I don't see him coming to Chelsea personally. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments regarding Nico Williams. Do you rate him? Do you think he's worth £400,000 a week? Let me know your thoughts. Malik S. Mirror has reported that Chelsea are ready to pay the £5 million penalty to send Jadon Sancho back to Manchester United. This seems to be cropping up more and more as the season is coming to a close. I've said this multiple times. I could see Jadon Sancho being bought for 25 million by Chelsea. I feel like the obligation is cheap enough for a player of his talents, but I could also see us paying 5 million to send him back because we won't pay his wages. I think he's on something stupid like £250,000, £300,000 a week at Manchester United, which again is something that comes with a move to Manchester United. It's one of the biggest clubs ever in the world, right? You know, up there with like Liverpool and AC Milan and Real Madrid, Barcelona. It has such a pull, regardless of how they're performing right now in the last few seasons, of course, right? You can say the same about us, where we've, you know, fallen off from where we were the last 25 years with the changeover of ownership and things, and we're clawing our way back. Obviously, we're not in the mud like United are right now, but it has that pulling power. We know that, right? Big money moves, big wages. the prestige that comes with it. So I don't think Chelsea would willingly pay the wages. I don't see Jadon Sancho taking a pay cut. Why would you? At that age, you know, he's still under contract with United to get them big wages. I know he wants to play football. People say that professional footballers don't want to play football. Of course they do. It's literally their career. It's their passion. For the most part, there are some players who just do it as a job, and that, again, that's fair enough. But we have some more sort of extension on the Jadon Sancho situation. Not only are Chelsea apparently ready to pay the $5 million to send Jadon Sancho back, but we also have this. The Sun Football have reported that Bayer Leverkusen are ready to make a move for Jadon Sancho if Chelsea don't want to sign him permanently. This is very interesting. I'm not saying the Sun is a very reliable source. Sometimes they hit it, most of the times they don't, but it's very interesting to me that Bayer Leverkusen are interested, because it's not the first time that we've heard a German club interested in Jadon Sancho. He played some of his best football over in the Bundesliga for Borussia Dortmund, got to the Champions League final, showcased his skills, and he seems to really like that team and that league, the style of play that the whole league plays. He just thrives on it. So it'll be very interesting. I wonder if Chelsea could do something very smart here, where we buy him for the 25 million and then sell him directly in the same window to a Bundesliga club. I don't even know if you can do that. I assume you can't, to stop quick profiteering. You may be able to. I don't actually know. But we could be sending him back to United, and then, look, Jadon Sancho has an out. It's either go to Bayer Leverkusen or going back to Dortmund, who we know are interested. The other thing that kind of ties in like the lore and the arc of the transfers of, you know, Chelsea wanted Jamie Gittins. They at Borussia Dortmund want Carney Chukwuemeka. They might also want Jadon Sancho. There could be some weird transfers that happen there, whether it's loans, permanents, swaps, you know, swaps plus cash, whatever it may be. But I feel like, again, Jadon Sancho's future is very uncertain. We don't know if Chelsea are going to keep him for that 25 million. I don't see the issue of doing that. It's just the wage side of things. If we can agree something amicably, if he's willing to take a pay cut. If he's not, we pay the $5 million, we send him back, because essentially, you know, £5 million for a loan across the season. I think Jadon Sancho overall has had a good season, right? And the numbers reflect it in terms of how he's played at Manchester United in previous seasons, right? Yes, there's been times where he's been good, times where he's been bad. The same with the whole team. No one's perfect for an entire season. But I also think 25 million is an absolute steal. If you're going to pay £5 million for a loan, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. We can send him back. And then that does put us in a position where we need to go buy another left winger, where, you know, someone like Jamie Gittins comes in, and other players we've been linked with, Nico Williams, etc. Yes, we can play Noni on the left wing. We've got Esteval coming in, who can play basically as a 10, as on the right, on the left. So we do have a few options. We don't know the future of Mudryk. So this is what I keep telling people, especially in my comments, you know, here on YouTube and on TikTok, whenever we talk about wingers, like, oh, why we keep talking about wingers, we've got loads of wingers coming in. And I think we really have to think about this. At the moment, the first choice rotation is Sancho and Mudryk on the left. That's what Enzo said. We don't have Mudryk, and we still have Sancho, but we play Pedro or Noni on that left or right-hand side. And I think for stability of the season, stability of the squad going forward, Enzo is going to want to have players that, yes, can play multiple positions, but has a primarily stronger position that they can rotate between to keep people fit and wrap them in cotton wool when needed. And when you look at it, that Sancho might be going and Mudryk still can't play, that's two left wingers. So we are going to have to buy someone for that side, for squad depth, for rotation, for that first team spot. Even if we keep Sancho, we still can't play Mudryk because we don't know what's going on there. So we are still going to need someone else. Yes, you could play Noni on the left, but then you've got Neto on the right and no one else. You can play Tyreek George on the left and right, of course. Is he ready for steady Premier League minutes? I mean, look, the guy's got an amazing skill set. He's still very young. So it could be a case if he gets more opportunities next season, because I think he's done fantastic this season. But I don't know what to do or what to say about the Jadon Sancho situation. I'm kind of indifferent. I would take him, and if he went, I'd be like, oh, cool, I understand that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Moving on to Dale Johnson at ESPN. He has reported if Chelsea finish in the top 5 and win the Conference League, UEFA will give them the choice to play in the Champions League or the Europa League next season. Now, I find this quite funny because on the surface of things, why would you choose Europa League over Champions League if the options are presented to you? It makes no sense. Financially, it makes more sense to play Champions League. It's more of a prestigious top tier of European football. But on the footballing side, it might be something that the board and Maresca think about of like, are we ready to compete in the Champions League? This summer is very detrimental to Chelsea's progression and growth the next season, especially for the development of the players. Same with the Club World Cup. We're starting to stabilise this squad now. We are obviously looking to offload players. We're looking to bring new players in. We have players coming in that we've already bought or on loan, like Petrovic, Santos, Esteval, Paez, whether he stays or goes on loan. So we have options in strength. We have options in our squad. We are still going to go out and look and strengthen for a number 9, a centre-back, the left wing position. The future is... no one really knows what's going on. So it just makes me laugh. Look, I'd be very disappointed if Chelsea chose the Europa League because it's less financially viable and it's the second tier of the European competitions. Yes, we would, if we qualify in the top 5 league positions and we win the Conference League, you'd naturally want to go Champions League. It means we've got better chances of a sponsor. We get more TV right money when it comes to the Champions League, get to play better teams across Europe. Regardless of how we perform in this new Champions League format, I think it'd be very good for this squad of players to play Champions League football. Chelsea is a Champions League club, whether you like it or not, right? We've always, historically, been in the Champions League for the last 25 years most of the time. I think there was a weird stat of like Chelsea and Arsenal having the most consecutive leagues in certain stages of the Champions League, which is just amazing and wild at the same time, because you kind of grow accustomed to it and you kind of expect it every season. And where we haven't been in there the last few seasons, we are craving to be back as fans, and I'm sure these players want to be playing Champions League football. So I think it's also UEFA's way of giving Chelsea an out, because they know how many English teams can be in Europe this season, with Conference League winners, Europa League winners, the people that qualify through the league stages of the Premier League. It's going to be wild anyway. I think it's like 6 guaranteed teams, potentially more, right? Playoff places get knocked down, cup holders can move things around. But what we know for a fact is Conference League will guarantee us Europa League, and the top 5 finish in the Premier League will guarantee anyone automatic qualification to the Champions League. So I personally would go with the Champions League. That's my thoughts. From a footballing sense, are we ready? I don't think so just yet. We could potentially be ready if we strengthen right in the summer and we develop a little bit more. Start of next season or next season is massively pivotal for the progression of Chelsea, in my opinion. But I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Would you choose Champions League or Europa League, purely on a footballing sense and from a financial sense? Curious to know your thoughts. Matt Law has reported that Real Madrid are confident of beating Chelsea to the signing of Dean Huijsen after stepping up their interest. I've mentioned this a few times. If Real Madrid come knocking, players usually go Real Madrid. It's the biggest club in the world. Historically, the pool they have is unbelievable. He is a young Spanish international centre-back, one of the highly sought-after ball-playing centre-backs in Europe. He's basically a midfielder that plays centre-back, right? He is fantastic across the board, and he's so young. Was he 20, 21? The ceiling this guy's got is amazing. The season he's having for his age, his position in the Premier League is fantastic. There is no surprise that Real Madrid are come knocking. They can also offer more wages, but there has been an update to this report. The report continues to say that Madrid have already held talks over signing Huijsen and are thought to be prepared to offer a significantly higher guaranteed salary than Chelsea. Madrid is thought to be an attractive proposition for Huijsen, and that comes from the Telegraph. So you put those two together, Real Madrid are feeling confident they're going to guarantee a considerably higher salary than Chelsea. So from a money standpoint, from a status standpoint, why would you turn down Real Madrid? I think the only potential route is that Chelsea convince Huijsen on the project. That seems to be the pull power for a lot of the signings we've made in the last few years. If these young players like the project that Chelsea are building, Chelsea are working towards, they're giving youngsters and youth more of a chance, more of an opportunity. He might want to be like, look, I can guarantee myself as a starting centre-back in the Premier League for a Big Six club. We are bringing in the likes of Esteval, and I can play with the likes of Palmer. We're looking to bring in a big number 9. Historically, Chelsea are a massive club, one lot. So I don't know. I mean, look, if you're boiling it down, you have to choose between Chelsea and Real Madrid, you go Real Madrid. It's as simple as that. And if they are going to chuck more money at Dean Huijsen and they can convince him on the project in terms of, he's going to get first team minutes and be, let's just say he's a replacement for Rudiger or any of their centre-backs they've currently got now, you're going to take it, especially at that age, right? So potentially, Chelsea are going to lose out on the race for Dean Huijsen. However, there's been reports that suggest that Chelsea still feel confident. I don't know how we feel confident when we're up against the likes of Madrid, one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in the world, who can offer more money. But that's just my opinion. I would love to see him in the Chelsea shirt. I think he'd be an incredible signing to add to our defence, especially with some futures that are kind of in jeopardy. Chalobah could still potentially be off, which I don't agree with. Disasi's going to be gone. We've got Colwell. Fofana can't stay fit, and he, may be going if a sizable offer comes into Chelsea. Chelsea will be willing to listen, even though they do rate him as a player. So we desperately need a centre-back, and a lot of people are screaming out for experience. In my previous video, we talked about Rudiger potentially come back to Chelsea. I would also love that. I think he has the experience. He's a bit of a nutcase in terms of like he just plays with passion, like a Diego Costa style mentality, but at centre-back, which is amazing. And I think the Premier League misses players like that. However, we'll soon see what happens. But currently, right now, Madrid seem to be leading the race and feeling very confident to be signing Dean Huijsen. But again, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And finally, we have the Victor Osimhen updates. Now, multiple sources were reporting this. They weren't necessarily the most reliable, but collectively it kind of made me think, well, there must be some element of truth to this, and I have some more reports after this that kind of backs it up. But essentially what's been the word on the street essentially is Chelsea are set to open crunch talks with Victor Osimhen's representatives this week as they attempt to strike a compromise over the striker's €12 million per year wage demands. Now, Nizar Kansila has also reported that Osimhen and Gyökeres would command high wages, but they have not been ruled out yet. They'll be on the list with Delap, Sesko and Akite. I can never say his name, so I apologise. Chelsea will decide based on pros and cons, and the competition for the club will face for the signature. Chelsea believe they'll end up with a very capable option. He goes on to report that Chelsea believed last summer that apart from Osimhen, who they pursued, the rest of the options on the market were not good enough to add to what Jackson offers. Now, when you take all these three things and put them together, and you read between the lines, Chelsea are still very much interested in Victor Osimhen. It was clearly a breakdown of negotiations when it comes to the wages of Victor Osimhen. Now, I believe that, yes, we're never really going to know what happened, like the ins and outs. It's, two sides of the coin, and you kind of put together what happened. But essentially, Osimhen wanted X, we offered Y, no one was happy, we walked away. Whether it's the agent's fault, whether it was our club's fault, whether it was Osimhen's demands, we don't really know. I don't think we'll ever know. The things you can read into is Osimhen obviously sacked his agent immediately after that window. He ended up at Galatasaray. Galatasaray now starting a hashtag movement of like, stay with us, Osimhen. They want to keep him. He's been fantastic this season for them. He wants that big move. He's a boyhood fan of Chelsea. Johnny B. Mikel has been the vocal mouthpiece of saying, Chelsea, pick up the phone, get it done. It's a very easy deal to sort. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that Chelsea will pay the high wages, which is why, apparently we're going for crunch talks this week to try and reduce that €12 million a year, because I believe that's after tax, which means there's even more. But obviously with the UK tax system and what they get taxed, etc., he wants it to be around 12 million that he takes home. Now, this isn't my money, right? So I don't really care what Chelsea spend on a player. I'm just going based on the facts and what things have been said over the last few years about this wage structure. And also because of the amount of buying and selling that we've done, we have to be very careful with PSR. We've had to sell our own stadium. We've had to sell our women's team. We've had to sell car parks and the hotels and move things around on paper to get through PSR. I think people seem to forget that. Yes, we have lots of money, but you can't just throw it all at the wall and then be like, yeah, we're all good, take the fine. It just doesn't work that way. So I feel like Chelsea have been quite honest in that sense of, look, we need Champions League qualification because that gives us initial more funds that we can spend on wages and more player transfer signings. It eases the PSR. We're selling a lot of players, which will raise funds for whoever we go to buy in terms of the transfer fee. And they've also been trying to reduce this wage bill. They have also said, and you've got a couple of videos back where we reported on this, that Chelsea are willing to break the wage structure they've set for the right opportunity and the right player. In my opinion, Victor Osimhen is the right player to break that wage structure on. When it comes to Gyökeres, when it comes to Sesko, when it comes to Delap, in my opinion, maybe Gyökeres, potentially, they're not the players to break the wage structure on, because I feel like you could secure Gyökeres on 150 grand a week with the right transfer fee. Potentially. I could be wrong. I don't know what he's on at Sporting. Someone like Victor Osimhen is not going to budge on his wage structure. He might come down 2 mil a year. And if you're paying 10 million euros a year, cool, whatever, bro. I don't know what that works out. Maybe 200, 250 grand a week. Just pay him the money. We desperately need a striker. We've seen what Jackson's done this season, and he's not going to be trusted to be Chelsea's number 9 next season. He's either going to be in competition, put on the wing, or, be in rotation, right? If you get a Delap, that's PSR safe, right? It's not a killer, in my opinion. I think he'll do very well in our squad and our system, and I think he's a great profile, but he's also another striker that you're hoping grows over time. He's not guaranteed 20, 25 goals a season, even with the amount of chances we create. And I rate the lad. I think he's fantastic. Scored 12 goals in a team that doesn't create that much and has been relegated. You plop him in a team that's created one of the most amount, or the second most amount of chances in the league this year, he's going to have a field day. But if you're going for a big killer instinct striker, it's going to be someone like Gyökeres or Osimhen. And if Osimhen is the one that aligns with us in terms of wants to be a legend here, has good links in terms of being a fan and with Obi Mikel, and people like Drogba, and he just loves the club in that sense. If he's willing to budge just a little bit on his wages, I can see this happening. Chelsea seemed to believe after last season, this report, that there was no one that offered more than Jackson on the market other than Osimhen. So they do rate him in a high regard. It's just they're not willing to pay the wages. Or maybe it's not that they're not willing to pay the wages. Maybe it's because of all the other factors I mentioned in terms of PSR. They physically couldn't. And maybe if we qualify for the Champions League with the Club World Cup, we're going to have the extra funds to go, right, what do you want? And this is the max we can go to. Maybe it is 12 million euros a year. Maybe it is 10. Maybe it is 11.5 or whatever it may be. If it's in with that region, and if Osimhen is serious about this move, I think we can get it over the line. But I'd be very interested to know your thoughts if Chelsea could and should sign Victor Osimhen down below. Because there's people that are still on the fence. And again, I've said a lot of people think that I don't want Victor Osimhen in Chelsea because I just say, well, we're not going to pay the wages. And that's not the case. Like I said, I'm just looking at it from a factual perspective of what the club have said with this new wage structure and not having the funds available and PSR being an issue because we buy and sell so much. That realistically doesn't look like an option. But as time has gone on, and also my belief as him as a player, of course I want a Victor Osimhen. He's great in the air, can finish with both feet. He's got experience. That's exactly what we need. He ticks all of the boxes. The only thing that is a worry is the wages. So if we can get over that, sweet, bring him in. Hopefully he could break the number 9 curse. Do you know, that's what I'm all about. I think it'll be amazing impact to our squad. My only concern, which people also seem to forget or don't look far enough ahead, is AFCON at the end of this year. So if we do sign Osimhen, when it comes to AFCON, we lose Osimhen and Jackson. So we go from having a killer and a good squad rotation player to nothing for like 6 Prem games. Maybe some cup games that are sprinkled in there as well, which is an issue. So do you then go get Osimhen and another player? I don't know. That's something to think about later. And it also looks like Liam Delap is poised to go to Manchester United in recent reportings in the last few days. So we might not even get Delap as we were favourites for a longest time, according to the Chelsea PR. But hey, should we sell Victor Osimhen? Do you think the negotiations... should we buy Victor Osimhen? Do you think the negotiations will go well? Do you think he will be willing to drop some of his wages to then fit into the broken wage structure that Chelsea are willing to break to secure him? Will he go below that 12 million euros a year? That's basically the question. Do you think we should? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you did watch this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that really. You are a real one. And secondly, there'll be a thumbnail that pops up on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.